Hey guys,
Hey guys, how you doing?
this is Limitless Faith Aus.
It is Limitless Faith.
I'm Georgie.
And I'm Ryan, and we are super pumped to just jump on quickly today and give you a testimony.
Yes.
We were actually you probably saw it on our Facebook, we were actually at Australian Prophetic Council at Glory City Church for the last few days.
For 2021.
2021, and God has been speaking. There is some amazing stuff that God's been saying, and we'll probably release a little bit of stuff about that as well.
Yes.
But we're actually going to tell you about a testimony that happened to inspire you, to encourage you to step out, because God is faithful, He is moving, and He still shows up today. He's in signs, miracles, and wonders.
It's not just back in the Bible. It's not just for the people that have, already done healing ministries. It's for you. It's for me. It's for all of us. And so what happened was we had an amazing conversation with someone we'd met, and she was very open about the pain in her body. I mentioned, has anyone really prayed for that before? And she'd said, yeah, but not really. It's kind of just what I thought was a part of life. This is how I have to just cope with it.
She basically settled believing that, that pain was, like you said, part of her life, and
you just got to live with that.
We disagree with that. And
not disagree with her. We just disagree that God has more for her. We agree with the fact that He wants to see her healed. He wants her to be full of freedom and just no pain. Exactly. So we may think that we have to cope with it, but we actually don't. Exactly. And that is a lie, and we want to address that and 100%. Show you why it's a lie.
So she basically said in that moment that she had a sore tummy and a couple of other things, but
abdominal pain.
We ended up being able to in that moment pray for abdominal pain and just digestive system and stuff, and which normally she would feel pain quite often throughout the day. And she also about a couple of things we couldn't pray in that moment for because we needed her sitting down, which we'll tell you about in a second.
Yes.
But we ended up praying for her on the spot and for her stomach pain and a few other things.
Yes.
And probably a couple hours later, she turned around and looked at us and said she's had no pain in her stomach, and we were just like, come on, praise Jesus.
She was trying to find a timing to see when she was going to feel hungry. Something wasn't right with her system. And after worship, she looked at me and she's like, I'm really hungry. And I was like, oh, I've got some banana bread. She's like, no, I'm hungry. Like, it's a good thing. And I was like, Ryan, she's hungry. And then from there, we just trusted God with the timing for, she had mentioned something about both of her hips weren't feeling they were in line with each other. She felt one was higher than the other. And we had a few breaks, and then we had praise and worship again, but we knew that God wanted to do something. And so we made time to sit down and just say, hey, Ryan's actually seen before and been a part of praying for people, and their legs have come out to meet each other and not have one shorter than the other. And maybe with the hips, that's the situation. So
usually you have some people that have one leg that's longer than the other, and obviously that then throws the hips out, which causes a lot of lower back pain. And when she said she had back pain, I thought this was it, and we finally had the chance after worship to go and obviously the service. We
were friends by then. She trusted us, and we were like, let's do this.
Got her to sit down, and we lifted up her legs, and sure enough, her left leg was probably about this much shorter, I'd say, than the right leg. And Georgie saw it and pushed her on the heels, and we ended up praying, and within 10 or 15 seconds,
it was like
even less.
100% God's presence was right there, and it was more Him wanting to show up to our friend and to say how much He loved her through this, rather than, oh wow, this is working. You could sense God's love. But with that, it was, I reckon, 5-6 seconds.
That's pretty cool.
And then Ryan actually blew on her feet.
So I literally prayed for her leg.
I was like, what's happening?
I just felt God say, you blow on her foot, and I did. And as soon as I blew on her foot, her
like
leg grew out in my hand. Georgie saw it. And
he looked up at me.
As we looked up, beautiful lady was Lynn. We looked up, and her face was just in awe. She was shocked. She felt her leg grow out, and she was just
so cool.
This
the
amazing,
eyes were like
it was like, wow, God showed up for me. It was a confirmation from what He'd already done with her stomach and her abdominals, doing it again with her legs, and we got her to stand up, and she had no back pain.
No pain. Her hips didn't feel out of line. And then she said to us, hey, I've actually had really piercing pain in my knees for a long, many, many years. And even walking from the bus to her house was up 2 little hills. and they would be in agony, like pierced glass. And we were like, no, but that's going. And so we, with the faith that was just straight in the fact that God was moving and it's got nothing to do with us, but he wanted to use us to bless her, and for his love to be poured out on her, we just put our hands on her knees and just said, pain be gone. And
we just poured out love on her. Even in that moment, we just told her how much God loved her. Like,
I could sense it.
Biblically, it's you lay hands on the sick and they will recover. It's not about the prayer that you pray. It's not about any of that. It's just that you're open for God to use you in that moment. And if you're open, God will use you. Yeah. So I just want to encourage you. It's not about how hard you pray. It's not about, like mentally striving and trying and please and begging. No. If you believe, God will use you, and that's all it is. It's simple. And sometimes we can overcomplicate it, and that can be sometimes why we don't see certain things, because our minds get in the way of our faith, so to speak. And
I think one thing that
encourage you with that, like, step out, because God is moving and he is faithful.
And to encourage you on top of that, just to know that it has nothing to do with us, it has nothing to do with you. And so once you get you out of the way, it's just God going, can I use you? Can I use you? I want to do this. It's kind of an exciting father saying, I have this gift, but will you give it? Rather than I have to say the right thing. Even if you just say, thank you, Jesus, healing right now. He's like, like it's not anything else. And so after that, she said, oh, there's a little bit of pain still. And we're like, cool, we prayed again. That's okay. Instantly, she just went, I've never had this. I've never been able to bend. I've never been able to do this. And her face again was like, what do I do with this? And we were just like,
literally seeing someone
is this
that's
really
been
happening?
Bound by pain and then free because of God's goodness. You just see that there was so much pain in her body, and then she became totally free. It's like,
and I said, can you do a jump? She's like, and I'm like, do a jump. And she did a jump, and she's like, oh my goodness. And so then after that, she was bending on the chairs just to check, and she's looking over at us like, what is happening? And we then just prayed over her that there'd be people in her world that would go, you weren't able to walk, you were in pain, you weren't able to do the big walk home, you had pain in your face, you were under agony, and that they would see a change and ask her. And that's exactly what happened. We got a message last night saying that someone in her family was like, hey, like, you don't look stressed, you don't look like you're in pain, like your face is different. And she's like, And then they were like, why are you walking so straight? Why did you not have an issue getting home? And she was like, no, this is what happened. The Lord has healed me. You can just see, you can just sense complete healing, complete freedom. And now a testimony. So,
so good, hey. And let it encourage you. God is faithful. It's one in however many people that are hurting and need Jesus. So let's all do this together. We can all step out. And it's just amazing, hey. It's just amazing.
And another little thing, if you see someone, say, with a cast or in a wheelchair, sometimes it is an obvious thing if you go, hey, do you want me to pray for you in the physical that you can see? But also it could be something else. They might have a really sore arm, or they may have a really sore back, but it looks like it's their leg or something. I've had a few of those. So it is also good to humble yourself before seeing something that looks obvious, and be like, hey, I can see that, this is happening, or that you're in pain, or I can see this cast. I would love to pray for you, but is there anything else that you would want prayer for?
Sometimes
there's other things.
Sometimes you'll even ask someone that may have a cast on their arm, can I pray for you? If you actually ask them in a sense that they can respond with what their issue is. A lot of people have bigger issues than a broken arm. That's really true. They may have, like something internally that's hurting them, or might be worried about a job, or whatever it is, and not thinking about their arm. They've got something else bugging them. So let's actually love them to the point of going, hey, what can we do? What can I pray for you for? Even in that, God will work and he will heal their arm as well. But let's ask that person what they need, and let's love that area of where they're loving. Jesus even said, half the time he would go up to people and say, your sins are forgiven, not get out that wheelchair and walk. It happened at the same time. And it was that sense of, ask that person, because it's from compassion that we get to pray, because we love the person in front of us, and God moves in compassion and love.
So we love you guys, and we encourage you to step out in the way that God has put on your heart. It doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be small. It's just
Everyone's
what works
different. Just follow who you are. Step out in who you are. That can be just you know, at work, just telling someone, have an amazing day with a smile, because that changes people's days. Just be who you are and let God lead you in how it all comes together, because He's amazing.
Yeah, and He wants you to be the best version of you
Come on.
in partnership with Him. He doesn't want you to be like us. He doesn't want you to be like anyone else, because there's only one you. So go be you. We love you. Thank you
Bless
for
you
your support with
guys.
Limitless
Yeah.
Faith. And here's to more testimonies.
Come on.